Good morning, or whatever it is, wherever you are. Of course, you come in right as the music picks up. All right, so I was hoping to run the data import over the weekend, so to speak. We ran into a little problem, and I think I have run it off of my consoles. Maybe this one. Yeah, here we go. Name log. We keep getting these really, really big numbers. So this is printing out ones that are too big. I think this one, you can sort of see like 289, or 298, 299. It's like you get either just the ID or like even part of the ID, and then you get some more stuff. So basically, there's write errors in. Well, I mean, there's garbage in the lifelog too. I think we get what we can and kind of wash the rest out. I don't remember how much I've done with that, but I mean, these are just things you don't even notice until we have. This actually makes me wonder if 4 bytes is a valid limit for a player ID. This I could see maybe being 3000s. Anyway, the point is that I've been trying to get code that can sort of identify these as we go. And it's being a real pain in the butt. Now, let me see if I can get this back to instrumented mode. I think in history I had turned off loading logs. So we're just loading this, and then I just had a test file, which kind of is the same thing as load all, I guess. Initially, I was testing some specific problem files, and then I just went to test all the things. And I think I might still have a problem right now. Because at the end of one log, well, it was specifically and I may have fetched more data since then. At the end of one server's log, there was a partial write of an ID, so it was only three characters when it was running 6. Then you go into a different server's log with a different number of characters, and it doesn't work so well. And we're still being very noisy. Yeah, so I can't really. Yeah, so it's printing out a bunch of stuff here because it's like everything is too big. So yeah, it's truncating all these. It shouldn't be truncating all these. And we've lost track of where it actually went wrong here. So this looks like it's truncating to 4 characters. It was on 3 before. Okay, so I don't have the prior value. I might need to be reprinting. Okay, that seems like a duplicated 4-4. This seems like a reasonably duplicated number. This is a reasonable cut down. This seems like a reasonable cut down. That seems like a reasonable cut down. But I'm not printing out which server I'm working on. But this is not a server switch. Where do I... I might need that in every file to figure out what's going on. Okay, so we do big server 1, we do big server 2. Oh, no, server 1. Yeah, server 1 had a lot of troubles. And do I still have... Well, sort of. Server 1 had a lot of troubles. May 22nd, Tuesday. This is 2018. Oh, is this one of those files? Yeah, this is one of those files. There was another one. I ended up special casing it, essentially. Where it went from 3 digits to, like, 7,000. Yeah, so this is like a... may have been a manual reset or something? Or it, like, temporarily reset and then reloaded and picked up its old ID because it was out of disk space and couldn't... Yeah, I don't... That does look like a suspicious renumbering. So this might have been the one that I special case an exception for. Because I'm not sure how you would otherwise exclude that situation. Well, I guess the way you would do it is you would load up a bunch at once. And you would consider whether something was a singular outlier or if it was their respective series. That might work on server-to-server transitions without having to do an explicit reset in between. Because they would both independently look like series, but this is a change in the way we're handling things. Right, so this is the test. This code is actually doing its own loop right now. Although I could get part of this out of the way by going back to here. I need an instance for that, but oh well. Because that would be history dot... I'm not even working on this right now, but it is duplicated code. Or dir was an argument to this thing, and I don't think I was using time range anywhere here. And this is just to do path, so it kind of takes over that. And then all of this kind of gets taken over. And we just have very similar logic there. All right, well, anyway, that's not what we're doing. What we are looking at is, well, actually load names is where stuff's happening. So this is get duplicated right now, so we can do all of our own handling. So right now we are doing file streaming in order to try to do efficient file reading. But that means that we cannot be easily looking at multiple lines. Well, I could have a small buffer. But I would actually need to try and parse the lifelog. as a straight up thumb parse, and then be looking at series of, well, I'd have to be turning the numbers back into strings to be comparing length. What is a reasonable jump for a named player ID? Because I know in some of our consecutive numbers we were seeing like a 3-0 to a 3-1, like 100,000. So 75 to 97. I mean, if you had like a server restart scenario with a whole bunch of people jumping on, you could potentially have quite a large jump, or someone just took a really long time to get named. Yeah, if there's a 116.37, so even like 100 is looking dubious. It's like, at what point do you declare? Well, I guess 2 digits is 1,000. That's probably going to be pretty rare. So I'd need to be looking for sequences where a single item was out of mode for the things surrounding it. Which is going to really complicate my top level loop because we have to read stuff into a buffer, examine the mode of it, and then we have to kind of roll out the end of it as well. But other than just keep writing in the exceptions, yeah, there's the other one. I don't quite know how to handle that. Well, 2 digits is roughly 1,000, so if we have a change of, well, even 3 consecutive entries, it's not too big of a buffer. The previous one, the current one, and the next one. Then I don't have to worry about finding which one is an outlier among how much stuff. It's just if the first and the last are within 1,000 of each other, and the middle is not, we have to consider that one an outlier. Which means we have to turn it back into a string, truncate it to the bits there. So this turns back into a dumb parse. And I have to duplicate that code for both of these. Well, maybe I make an extra, maybe actually put the method here just to be called in both places. Or it gets a method that can handle a file gets scenario. Since both of them are doing that right now. Actually, that's an interesting question as well. Speaking of load names, well, this might actually change up more. Because this at some point I'm going to have to handle downloading and immediately parsing stuff. Oh, and this is another check we need to get over here. Oop. But that doesn't go cross buffer or cross window. Because I have found lines that are completely blank. Well, in either case, we're probably going to have a stream. So if we make this a dumb parse, and then we have some sort of file stream, where we're going to have to do some of this kind of stuff, but maybe better. So we're going to have some sort of buffer. Oh no, this is going to be have to be a class variable. Well, that can be shared with the instance. So this would actually be a variable on the a instance variable of the class. So this would be while buffer.length less than 3 and does that return the value we put onto it? So the other thing I discovered is that PowerShell actually can see prompts and stuff, or at least the Git shells can't. So if we got an array and we are adding a value to it, it returns the array, which is not what we want for a conditional here. Does file have like an EOF? Those are class variables. Okay, so this is really more like an IO object. Closed. Okay. And not file dot end of file. Buffer file dot gets. All right, and if we have an error right at the beginning or end, we're kind of SOL. Actually, this won't necessarily handle cross-file things. Let's just, maybe it wouldn't even get cross-file effect without the last thingy. All right, so now we should have a buffer of 3 things. You should return the new instance like the old thing would do. All right, so if buffer.length is equal to 3, then we can do our fancy stuff. Oh, it's not file.gets. It is actually going to be And you just take a line, right? Yeah. It's actually going to be the line, which is going to make dumb. And we want to say if abs of buffer 0 dot id minus buffer 2 dot id is less than 1,000 and pick one. Actually, this will be a pretty typical case. So if we do this first, that should allow us to. I mean, efficiency is going to matter much, but that would short circuit the condition a little bit sooner. If that's a big jump and this is a little jump, well, I guess first we just say, hey, what the heck's going on here? Now, what we don't necessarily get here is to see what our input line was. Well, we'll see what the results are. And then in all cases, we return buffer.shift. All right, and then this stuff all becomes dumb. I might want to because this is what getting into loops where everything was just stuck on this last ID thing. Parts ID, we don't really need this anymore. Oop. Unless there's some super simple cases I can take out. And that's the leftover. So that's dumb. And then our, no, actually it's history right now. Name log equals name log dot next log of file. Which is not a line, it's a name log. Oof, okay. Undefined method ID. Oh, is that player ID? Might have been player ID. Name log does do a player ID. Oop. Oh, which actually means you actually just need player ID. Okay, that's getting it actually very long. Okay, so it doesn't do that leading and, which is sometimes nicer for alignment, but oh, you know what? It's probably dot abs because objects. Okay, we printed some things out. I might actually need to stop always printing the file. History. As nice as it can be to know. Okay, and I might want a prettier print. Because that is... You can get it, but it's really hard. Oh, it's the buffer, so we actually do have to... Or... There's always this trick, which I haven't done a lot of console debugging, but... This is a trick I used to use a lot. Oh, no, because I was doing inspect print, so I would have to... Well, you can actually do inspect differently. Only this doesn't make it clear where the buffer bounds are. Um... But that turns it into an inspect again. How about... Well, that's kind of hard to read. So I guess really what we need to do is... Puts buffer... All right. Okay. So 1,000 is the wrong metric. There are legitimate differences where somebody didn't get named for a while, or a much older person got named. Okay, so that's good, that's good. Or, I mean, that's a correct identification of an error. That looks like it was a normal... that looks like it was a one character... One character error. Two character error. Just 1,000 different, 1,000 different, 1,000 different. Must have had a lot of people on. Yeah, so 1,000 is the wrong metric. I guess what I need to do is, if we're testing this, we also want to put... So I can get a better sense of how big that gets. Okay, that's huge, that's huge, that's huge. That's, okay, 1,025. 1,057, 50. $13, 13, 13. Maybe 2,000 to do it. Now, is this getting all of my... Because I know, like, one of the things I was bouncing on before was like an Eve sleep, I think. But, oh, that might have been because of the previous file. So that definitely identifies some problem cases. So now we need to worry about the actual fix-up. Or the actual fix-up is going to look like our middle entry is a little bit like this. Where buffer1.playerID equals buffer1, it might just want to, I'm not sure that helps. Buffer1.playerID.to back to string. And then I guess what I need is, I need the other thing twice. So equals buffer 0 dot player ID dot to s dot length, and you go at negative and this is converting to a string, so we have to go back to 2i when we're done. Ooh, no method player ID. Oh, yep. It has to become an accessor. Okay, so that looks reasonable. 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 Okay, now I was checking for exceptional events. Could you get a double exceptional event? So I guess we would want to know if we ever well, I guess what I really care about is not length 7. Buffer 0 dot player ID is greater than well, we'd really want to checkpoint there, though I think it might be 30, could be 32. So I don't have the line in this case. All right, and these are fixed up now, so we're probably good. And then is there going to be anything? Whoa. Oh. Okay, this must be not. Exponentiation. Maybe it's star star. You see that sometimes. And I have to relaunch my browser because it doesn't handle the color changes well anymore. Well, there definitely is a star star operator. Okay, that should leave us with no exceptionally large items. And let's see, the life logs have the B or D that kind of helps the alignment, although I might still be missing over some things. Now, do I need to do any other adjustments here? Okay, yeah, this changes. I can actually, now I actually have a way to skip this here. Um, self.new. So we would actually have to capture this as a log. Next if log.name.length. Actually, yeah, it was next unless. Because I don't think blank name is valid. So now both of these should not need to deal with that. Let's just run this since it's relatively fast. All right, now this is not relatively fast. I can start it running. Oh, I did. Oh, I never did the. I never committed the rename. Oh well. I probably need to start checkpointing this though. So we have a bunch of untracked files yet. Did not detect those as modified. Well, actually, add all does. Yeah, it actually doesn't do all. And all of the stuff had to change because of those references. Lifelog. Now, did you have? We have developed a fair. Okay, we compressed that. And you're kind of still in test mode. We can try to get this past the point where it ran into problems before. Although I forget if we're on server 1 or big server 2 right now. Import. No, actually, we're still on big server 2. Oh, no, actually, we're skipping all big servers. So we're on server 1. And try to get that past its problem point. And duplicating the work if we have to restart. And I guess I can start working on file tracking. Kind of while we're doing that. Although I probably would want to checkpoint then. And let's just do it in my databases. Import load dir. Load everything. Oh, wait. I started using. We are in history. I started using this. Well, no, actually, it's not using this particular part of this loop, so it's okay. Yeah. But it is using this part of this loop to give me feedback about what the heck's going on because it's very slow. Oh, I guess I could actually take that out to here. Well, okay, so right now it's fine. And if we have reason to restart it. Oh. Oh, pfft. But you've got reason to restart it. ID for nil class. Import 18. Okay. Did I reset my database? Wait. I mean, actually, arguably that is the path. So, what? Dot dot blah 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 blah. Oh, I used to be dir path. Now I'm getting a full path. I probably should have. Well, I mean that's telling me I've got a problem. Because we should always find the server. All right, so that is. Well, so I'm wondering if. So if I'm strictly adding data, I could load the entire file. That will have the advantage of pre-combining the births and deaths. And then for a file that includes the birth, we want to check for existence. If it doesn't exist, we write it. For a file that only includes death, well, we write different fields if it's both. All right, so actually, yeah, efficiency is a little bit of a problem here. Which actually throws me completely out of this. Oh. But what about epochs? Well, I think history has some epoch tracking. All right, so we're a little bit past sanitization. More general data import. So if we do that, we actually do want to do. Well, we don't want to do load dir. As is. Yeah, so that's where that is convenient. Maybe I discount. I do the lives together and discount names. I just have to end up doing database seeks for the names. But I don't think that they're my big bottleneck. So we do it in the scope of this. That would become a history one at a time. Well, if you were able to load multiple files to temp or something, you could use that loop. So this would turn into history load log. And then we go through each and do different things depending on what we loaded. The first log we get should get us the first, give us a timestamp we can use for getting our epoch. All right, so this, all right, so a couple fix-ups there. Now this is going to be more of a rewrite because it's going to be more of history. Oop. Load log. I might still need server and server ID. We will then have lives. Server ID. Well, do I even have that? Yeah, we've got length. But we don't have logs right now, so we need lives dot first. Actually, we have a time that does something. Oh, but we have to load the logs to get the epoch. Where we start, and then we have to redo the epoch assignment. Okay, that's per log stuff. Then we need to ask if dot death time. I might need a helper for that. And then, okay, so if we do a life, it's going to change up a few fields for these. No, you're in. Else if then it's a death only. All right, so a birth only. Oh, and this is where we have to do if life.player ID equals to epoch. Is there a plus equal one? Life.epoch equals epoch. Well, actually, life.epoch always equals epoch. No. We're passing it down, so I might not need to care about that. Oh, I was passing epoch in here and then using log. That may have been an oopsie as well. Okay. So a birth only, a few things are going to change. It's not really a log anymore. And these are going to actually be the prefixed ones. No, I still can't. I still have to do at least an existence check. I can't just do a blind insert, especially since we're like kind of rerunning things. Oh, once we get running, births should be safe to enter. So I'm slightly annoyed at having to server do epic life. Well, the only thing. Could I just have this merge two sets of fields? So that that one's both. The fields just need the life. Except that was the death fields. Our key is really invariable. Do we need that for anything else? This is really just a shorthand. Mm. All right, so if it's a death, we're hoping that we're going to find something, so we do kind of want to do that. Well, the main benefit I'm getting here is that I don't have to do a final initialize for both the birth and the death. I'll have a complete record for a both. So these aren't finished right now. I could pass the key instead of all the fields. I see, is it really just different fields? Is it really just... And now, is that nil? Yeah, those should all be nil. So we can say key equals server ID epoch life dot player ID. Okay, and that saves us. Oop, we still need you. That cuts down. So it's still a finder initialize because we might run over the same data. Arguably, we don't need to write it if it is a birth-only record. Because if it exists, it was probably there because of that. History. Yeah. Never implemented that one. Oh, right. These are all class methods. They're just making a little helper module. Oh, and these need to return. I was wondering why I was highlighting those. Import module. Oh, that's right. Cut down this. We get a completely null life. Oh, population was one of the ones that was distinguished. Life. Lifelog got me before. Self. Well, yeah, that first log is a little bit smaller. So that's a little bit less work to do. I guess the only reason I might want to re-import fields is if I change the field and I needed to update things. But for a standard update, if it exists and it's birth only, you probably don't need to write anything. Or if it's birth and death in the same file, then it shouldn't have. Either you've already got, well, it should be. If you've done it before, you've done it before. But that should at least cut my operations in half for the birth and death scenario. Oh, and this isn't doing any names yet because that feature doesn't exist. All right, so if I'm going to let that run for a bit. Hit status. Combine bursts and deaths before inserting. All right, so the other thing we're eventually going to want to be able to track here is which files have we loaded before? All right, so Rails generate, migration, create. So there's two aspects of this. There is what we're not going to be storing the files anywhere. So really it only matters what we imported. And so we're going to have an implicit ID. We're going to have a path, which I imagine will be the same thing we have under our cache. We have uh-oh. Got our first name log. And this is why this would be useful. Okay. We have a path. We have a... I think we wouldn't write this in until we had successfully loaded it, because that would just be a new file that we wouldn't want to record, so we would do it again in the future. So we would really just need a created at, updated at, imported at. I mean, we're really looking at the same thing as the... Have you ever remember using like creation time for our fetch? Fetch file. Modification time. Oop. So for our local file modification times, the last time we wrote to it, which for us can be the same as imported at. Or maybe it should be fetched at or left. because it got changed after we started fetching it. Path is a string. Fetched at is going to be a date time. And really, we need it exists, and we need to know when we fetched it. It might. We can get epochs from the other stuff. What am I using base for? Is this? Oh, that's the URL. I was pre-passing cache path. Base URL root. Oh, caching is indexed. I'm going to have special handling for that again. Base URL path, cache plus path. Right, because root directory. And then path log path is going to be the server name. Do we care about the server name here? Or the server subpath? I don't think so. Now, I'm not sure I can do this when my other thing's running. Okay, so that's fine. So so this will have to do with, there's two sides to this. There is fetching the files and there is importing the files. I could probably do some initial sort of work on using my local file cache, and then we can work on rewiring it to use the actual network files. So right now our import rake, yeah, is operating off of our cache. We're getting lifelog, which I think is one directory below that. Cache lifelog. And we have to be mindful of how this looks when we're fetching files. Got a base URL, which is going to be that. This is probably going to want to move some of this stuff into the import module. All right, so we've got load dir. You're going to want probably have that to be a parameter. This is temporary because this is kind of tracking some of our previous progress. All right, I can't keep this on screen, so let's keep it where I can see it. Okay, so we've got that dir. Load dir just goes through the cache, getting files matching certain patterns. Yeah, so that had a completely separate fetch and load operation. This is really tracking what we've loaded. And there might end up being a separate high-level iteration. So at this point, the dir we're printing out is dot dot with all the cache and everything. So I'm going to need to start tracking that separately from the path we want to record if this successfully loads that thing. Well, this is going through each dir, so we have an opportunity to do it here as well. And this is cache plus dir. But this is printing. Wait. Oh, I'm printing this twice right now. In the one I was running, I was printing it in the equivalent of this. That's load directory. Nope. Because this is doing, iteration through the dir. So if we successfully load this, so you're saying load dir, so this load dir needs to know so it was getting a full cache path before. And I don't know if I'm ever going to use time range here. That's kind of a carryover from the other one. So you are loading right now. All right, we're getting through some names without crashing so far. I forget exactly where we ran into problems before. Okay, so I guess that's the path. But this is iterating and giving us the full path here. I want to know the path of each individual file. And I don't know if we're going to end up using history for this. So load dir gives us, this expects a full path for each dir. Dir.for each dir gives us oh no, this is passing the file.join. And there's some place that uses that. I think I'm actually going to have to do this. Okay, cache for each directory within there. So this path is that. So now these guys all need to do file.join. Okay, so you got the file.join cache dir. You actually need and then the thing we want to record as our cache is file.join dir path, which we would then names are hard. Also, do I need to cache? Well, for the file caching, I had to cache the indexes. For the times that this will, for the rate that this will normally run, it's probably okay to refetch the index files. Although that is a thing I may have to deal with, because right now I could just load the directory. I don't have the timestamp through here either. Well, we want imported at, right? Well, that would be time completed. We might need to pass through time fetched. And I did... Yeah, I did fetch stat. So I'm eventually going to need a parameter here. Oh, no, we have to get this. We can... how do we do a simple existence check? Well, for active record, we need... we'll grab you. And we called this a... Yeah. I shouldn't have an actual syntax error now. Oh, this is supposed to be... And then, yes, cache path is unused. So let's see, lifelog file. Care about exists. And the declaration is find by path. Return if and is there. Well, that would return a record or no. Oh, that also implies where is my other thing? Is it, no, it's lives. No. Create lives. We've got index unique true. So you only want a file in there once. Oh, no, it's not just if it exists. It is if the date is appropriate. So this would be incoming file time for a cache file. Oh, no, I did change this. Fetch. Okay, if it exists and date. Lifelog.fetched at. We don't have the date yet. No, so that was getting the cache there. So the simulation of being able to do this with a date would be there. And then this, we're going to, this would be like file.mtime. No, you do not have the actual, this is not an individual file. I might need a, okay, so loader do. All of those two functions end up fetching contents. I'm going to have a whole different loop here at some point. So our date is going to be that's the date of the new data. The lifelog, the last date we imported at. So we want to re-import. Well, actually, this is. Next, if not lifelog. Well, that definitely takes care of this. If not lifelog, or the incoming date the file was updated at, is greater than the last time we had recorded. And then when we're done, well, I guess if we found it, yeah. If lifelog dot update else lifelog file dot cache path Oop, we had another error. Null value in column account hash violates not null constraint. Oh boy. All right, so that, well, the final offending log is server 1, April 22nd. Although it's probably a corrupt record. I might have to consider a life that has that much empty stuff. So we got a timestamp and ID. I wish it would show me the record for that. Oh, server ID epoch player. Maybe that was the only information it had. It just didn't bother writing in. Looks like we had a timestamp, perhaps. Well, it's not in that statement. Or maybe that's the record ID. Epoch server, I might believe. Server ID, epoch player ID, record ID. So that's the only thing that says is that that player ID existed. We might come along and find a name for it. But is it useful? And we're not going to get a birth location. We're not necessarily going to get parent information. Oh, actually, we do potentially have a player ID. Three one one 325. Born, died. Why didn't that parse? All right, so now, having done all this, we want to go back. Nope. Pretty much need, let's see, that was names, load log. Server 1. Uh, 2018 04 April 22nd, Sunday. That is going to skip the area I've been messing around with so far. So we're pretty much just going to have to run this till it blows up. Well, I also need to know about the previous record, but... we also want to know what happened there. Woo! Okay, well, that was fast at least. Second record. Player ID, epoch, parent. Oh, did we just not get a time? Death time. Birth chords. Hash. What? Add birth, add death. End up with nothing. Oh. Right, this is probably the point we got to before. So we inserted a null record. You are in Postgres bin. Can I actually get an interactive console off of that? Maybe. So this is life dot where account hash Well, it says there aren't any. It's also saying that it failed because It was a duplicate record. Maybe it didn't insert anything from that batch? No. Okay. All right, so the problem is I was trying to merge this up, and we need our bangs to do that. So, huh. A, no, a death record would still have that. So every insert, yeah, so fields only if we update. So it's probably got to the, as far as we'd gotten before, and failed on the first record. So we can run this through this file. Ooh. I didn't save. And it's going to be very spammy. All right, hopefully that's not too slow. Print life. Import rake. All right, import RB. When we do our next test, it might be nice to start doing some of this code. So load dir, get the file of our cache, update our fetch stat. So that at least, even though we have to do it one more time, we will start filling in those files so that we can just outright skip them. It's probably going to be a really low dir per se, but yep, number of arguments. Oh. Ah. Yeah, Woven Scars that he was having to mess around with MySQL. It's like, wow, I didn't know. I figured it would be just kind of a run it and maybe there's some config files or something. All right. So I think I may have changed my entry point. Oh, actually import. Yeah, I was completely redoing this. So it's actually calling you. And then that changes my call to load dir. Yeah, import. Ah, okay. Now what did I mess up? Where do we file SN time? Oh, so I'm passing the wrong path to it. I don't know if it was 10 years ago, but yeah, I think Astroneer is gearing up for another update. But I'm like just starting to do Factorio, so it might be a bit till I get back to it. I don't know. I guess I could maybe jump in for a day here and there, but not anything thorough. Okay. So that means I'm passing. Well, there's the path we're trying to do. So that's the file there. Oh, so M time needs to actually be. Well, I guess I'm going to do this like 3 times now. Okay, cool. Thanks for dropping by. Undefined table. Oh, did I might actually have put the index in and then not remigrated. Because I was waiting until I got to the point where I needed it. Oop. Yep. That feels like I messed up my conditions a lot. So another question is, did I insert all of those files that I didn't actually import? Lifelog file. Okay, I did not insert them at least. All right. Oh, next if not lifelog. No. Well, no, if the lifelog doesn't exist, we want to go. Okay, if it exists and the date says we don't need it. Which actually is an interesting point. Well, I wouldn't have anything here. I do have this print. This was one thing right now. That is all of our parts. And actually, now I've got... I guess really... we won't really be able to test this until the second run. Well, we're going to have a file or two. And I was quite surprised at just how slow these data imports are. Okay, I can load them all up pretty quick. But database writes are a thing. All right, so if we interrupt that, No, it's importing the 9th again. Oh, well, now we should... okay, now we've got that. Lifelog server 1 gets a little bit cut off. We can see it's March 9th. And that was actually fetched a while ago because I'm getting my local cache file system time. So we should actually have this record. Okay, so date greater than, I may have just done this backwards. Oh, okay, so that's the date of the new data. If it is greater than, it is equal to. What did I do before? The date, and that worked. All right, well, I need to take a short break. I'll be back in a few minutes. Does that even work? Well, it doesn't blow up.
Junkrat's over to the left somewhere. Can't find him. Oh! What the hell? Just hit me.
Hello there.
Oh.
Sniper detected.
Okay, we're getting a lot of iron. That's good to see. We're finding a whole bunch in this outside area. Okay, we could get down here and use this. Anybody have any recommendations for the neural vacillator?
And a wheel. Looking up, Julia. Looking up, Julia. There's been a murder. Who done it? Oh my God. She didn't even wait for her answer. It was me.
All right, welcome back. All right, so this worked because I was recording the time I fetched it, not the time that the server reported. So I think we actually, So the problem here is that if I just take the current time, that's always going to be newer. since I'm not actually fetching it. And there is, when we were doing extract path list from here, we get paths, date, extract path list to server list, fetch file, we get the log date, which is that date, which is the date reported by the server, versus the time that we... All right, so the thing we need to do here is to do this. So we always record. So the M time would be if we... If we don't do this, if we actually process it, we do the equivalent of M timing a file, which is to write the... it's either like... Is it date.now or time.now? And there's date.now, but that's a... Oh. It's date.today. Time.now. It's not a date time, but hopefully they can figure that out. Oh, except... Right, so this is the input date. We were relying on the file system to record the modified time for us. So when we eventually get the file list, we're going to have the time that the file was updated at, which actually that'd be kind of, that would be this. We have at the time the server reports it updated as. The time we fetched it at, which realistically would be closer to up here somewhere when we're actually doing fetching. Well, that will just always give us really recent time, so I'd have to redo the first couple. So the thing I was concerned about is if we just happened to do this while it was being updated. There's always going to be a little bit of asynchrony there. So we've got in the index, it's going to report the last date the server updated it. And then we're going to have our time fetched at, so we've got like file date and fetched at, so there's a lifelog fetched at, and we are concerned about the file date, which is not going to move at. We're always going to be fetching it at new times. Oh. But then, because it takes time to import, we want to update to the time we fetched it at. So I'm going to be mindful of both of these timestamps. I guess technically that's true of this M time too. Although I think I wrote that out closer to where the time we actually fetched it. All right, so that will probably process those again. All right, that one takes a little bit longer. We should at least be able to see it skip the 9th. No. All right. Oh, am I... Oh, file date is still... Wait, do I need to... No, because this was... Yeah, we need these backwards now. So date is the file that the index is reported at, which we're going to call file date. Or is it the time we recorded it? So maybe it's this? But actually those, we recorded the file time before, so it's going to be equal. But it should have gone down here and updated the fetch stat. (2019-610). So then maybe my sign was wrong there. With my extra console. Oh, I didn't save that. Okay, so it skipped that one. It's processing the next one, which did have a record, but it wasn't less than. Yeah, if the date is older than the time we fetched it. So now as we do this, we'll gradually be able to build up. Oop. Undefined method fetched at for nil class. Oh, this is the actual print. Which was not quite so careful. Okay, so we skip over those two. Yeah, now as we go, we'll gradually be able to build up the list of things we've actually imported. So we can continue making forward progress. So that is still doing a lot of debug adding. So for the most part, we're not going to need that one. Because where we're most likely to run into errors, we'll have this. Okay. Well, yeah, this is where we introduce this stuff. Oh, I should have checkpointed some other things. Add migration. Let's see. And at some point, I'm going to have to redo the big servers just to get them logged in there. All right, so a lot of this is just going to be waiting for it to run its data import. We do have some data in there now, though. So what do we want to be able to request? Well, our most immediate application is the last day's points. Now, we don't have... Well, no, we did big server 2, so we might actually have some of that. So life dot where birth time. I need to review some of my date operations. Date dot today minus 1. Life dot where birth time less than date dot today minus 1, or greater than birth time greater than. Oh, we can't do things in this format. Birth time okay. Are strings the correct format for that? Do you need to be... Let's try something stupid simple. Define method, to dot. Okay. Greater than should be 0. But when we imported Big Server 1 and Big Server 2, we did not have 1 day's worth of records. So yep, we need to make this 2, or not the most recent day. So that might not be a full day's worth, but that's something. So there's definitely data there. Okay. This might actually give me more than I want. But what are we asking for? So, I mean, most recent day is a... So this might just be a lives with query parameters, or do we have specific points for specific queries? Or specific endpoints for specific queries. I could do a generic endpoint and then only support certain query parameters off the start. Oh, we also have different return types. Like the map is mostly going to want location information, and we'll kind of decide what else. Family trees are going to be a whole other thing, but that's a thing we could maybe do here. So maybe we have a... Although the data format I'm using right now is a little weird, but... And then have the resource be based on the type of thing it's returning? Rather than the fact that it's searching... Oh, I should be keeping an eye on you, at least off to the side. I mean, it could just be lives. Well, lives would be kind of an everything, which would probably be too much data for your typical points, although it depends on what you're displaying. Well, we'll bootstrap off this at least. Use the... Thank you, Windows. Oh, I still have to make this networked, but we've at least got some data to work with now. Or to get fetching the actual data. So it actually did not. Oh, that would be more of a scaffold. Okay. So the standard routing, and did you give me a route? You did not give me a route. I don't know if it's really going to be a resource, but... since it didn't give me that, I'm going to need to refresh my memory here. Okay, so that's your basic gets. Resource as resource. So actually that's a nested resource. We're only going to do index for now. That becomes the index route. And then this turns over to controller stuff. Which, I mean, this is pretty much just, we can even just default this to only return what we want to, our default thing here. So, life.where, this is a range query. It might be able to figure out a between if I passed it a range. So we can go back and test that. No, it's not range. Well, the precedence of these is... can be funny. You know, that just makes me nervous. And then that might be fine as long as it doesn't try to do hash as one side of the range. Date.today. Time is advancing slightly, but okay. Actually, that did more? Maybe oh, I did less than. That may have included that exact time. Okay. Date dot today minus 2. All right, I'm going to take those, and this is where I might want to do something a little bit fancier. You know what? Well, no. I know there's a things that I've seen used called serializers, but that might only do one serialization for a type. I'm probably going to want to present these in several ways. JSON API only. JSON API. Okay, but where's the docs? Development status, getting help. Okay. Oh. Stable. No, that's the actual thing. Oh, there's yard docs. Integrations. What do you do? Okay, post serializer. Based on the model. Attributes are whitelist to be serialized. Yeah, so this only suggests, this is the basic usage, but only suggests there is one serialization for data model. Now, in a lot of applications, that makes sense. Side of controllers, plain old Ruby objects. Serializer, attributes, associations. Yeah, I think this is for scenarios where you're always returning the same type of record for the same type of thing. So what we want to do is do something like presenters, if it lets me do that. Okay. Because I got the, what is it, controlled folder access on, because I'm experimenting with that. And I often run across little commands I have not whitelisted. All right, so app, present, maybe it just didn't work. App, okay, or it just didn't work. I clicked on something here. Presenters. And this is going to be based on our, oh, my current map data expects lineage, which I've not calculated yet. So we'll just have to like stick a 0 in there and it won't be very good until we get back to calculating lineages. All right, so class point presenter. So actually, I often when I'm adding fields, I use well, no, there's a built-in Ruby thing where you can pick the methods to delegate. Delegator and forwardable. Simple delegator. Yeah, that delegates by default. Delegator is the generic one. Is a my decorator with a wrapped get object wrapped equals object, and then that just works. Delegate class. Okay, if that's for classes. Forwardable, I think, is the more manual version. So we initialize it with that. Then def delegators to underlying object. So I could be more specific about what I'm returning here. Although actually, come to think of it, what the serializers did do is they had the implicit method to include what was serialized. We're still going to have to include a hash to have it turned into JSON. So this might just be, yeah, if it's going to return a thing, so then it could be a simple delegator. So it has easy access to all the methods. Delegator. That takes care of the initialize, and then we just have, I don't know if it's preferable to do like as JSON or to JSON. So the way I'm doing this right now is actually an array, because I was trying to do it very compact data. I may have to change that for readability. So we're doing birth. Oh, right, we're still, yeah, the database has X, birth Y, and I'm actually forgetting what else. So we had our points, birth time. I think, yeah, chain is only on birth. And lineage, it's expecting, but we don't have yet. And we might want, for convenience, well, that would just be a, and that is a lives.map to, no, actually it's a function. So we have to life, new life dot as JSON. So then here we grab these. We do point presenter dot wrap. Oh, you need a, not your date range. So you kind of, okay. And what is it? Respond with JSON? Do I still have a server running? No, you're 3000. Oh, and I'm just, this actually needs to be like recent points, or I need to have a time range, or, okay, points controller, point presenter. Maybe I need to restart my server so that it sees that directory. Or I'd have to do a configuration thing to add presenters to the search directory. Or I just straight up typoed it. Unable to auto load. Expected at presenters point. Oh. Pointer presenter. Undefined column. Lives.birth. Oops. Birth time. And that line is getting kind of gnarly. Respond with. All right, so I'm also rusty on that. Models, controllers. Redirect to render new, or maybe that's render JSON. Okay. So, do I still have this up? I do not still have this up. Completely closed that stuff down. I wasn't thinking I'd get to it. Okay. Got this over here because of the mapping stuff. Now, this isn't going to look any different than, well, the lineage will be off, so I guess we'll have that. So right now, we are fetching big server 2 points. This is actually, oh, this is actually going to be server 1 point, so it is going to look very different. Oh, yeah, because, yeah, I need to do something about which server. Not a... Fetch. Network error attempting to fetch. Oh, cross. Access control origin missing. So that's something we're probably going to need. So what is the easy way to do that? Surely there's an easy way to do that with Rails. Rack cores. Rails API application. Action dispatch default headers. That was Rails 4. Do these headers here. Config, application, headers. I might want to see this something more recent. Rails 5. Rack cores. We'll prepare the setup for you. You need to uncomment the following. Okay. And initializers, cores. Okay, yep, it is that thing. Can I? All right, insert before. So I could explicitly whitelist a particular domain. For now, and I saw this in my rundown here. Configuration, okay, so origin star. And this is going to be an install. And then a server update. Okay. Oh. Completed. And this is what really annoys me here. Is like is that it's so frozen up I can't really tell what it's trying to do. So it's all request, doesn't seem to be request. Maybe can the debugger? Yeah, I can't even load the debugger panes. So is this a leaflet thing again? Okay, so this one's fine. What the heck are you doing? Let's try. No, we need index. Take this most recent thing out. Maybe it's, is it possibly, actually wasn't it like 3,000 points on server 1 in the last day? Or was it 300? Oh no, on any server. I did go back 2 whole days. But when I did big server 2, well, okay, so this is a date period not last 24 hours. Which is probably a thing we want to figure out, right? But that's still like a lot more. Because it's all servers. So let's see if it's just drowning in... Well, we can just do a limit on it, just see if it's drowning in data. Uh... Okay, so that's a smaller set. No. Okay. What if we return nothing? Okay, so I appear to actually be doing something very sloppy in how I'm handling the data. I mean, it has been kind of thrown together so far. So you... Well, it doesn't really tell us much of anything. See if that can fire off. Oh. Okay. Oh, it's expecting timestamps. Admittedly, that date format might be more useful, but this is closer to the lifelogs. I'm still surprised that it caused that much trouble. So birth time. How do you do that? A 2i? This is probably going to be a date time. Is that milliseconds versus seconds? Oh, and have I even? Well, no. If we're getting to date today range, it should be in the right range. So our timestamp is about 10 digits for seconds. Is the wrong terminal. And yeah, okay, so let's look at the same units. All right, so it can do that. It can... Oh, no, there it is. It can display that. If we... Oh, because we don't have a time range. Presenter... no, yeah, controller. Let's step... Oh, maybe it was calculating the range that it actually blew up. But why would that actually lock the page? Yeah, so we're not getting any good coloration here. Oh. It's pretty much instant because we got so little stuff. Yeah, because I was doing it in pretty big jumps. All right, let's step it up a bit. Yeah, 100 doesn't cover very much time. This is going to be, since I have not limited servers, this is going to be all servers, which could get a little wonky. In fact, I guess most of them are going to be on big server too, but... Well, okay, so the big servers are the only things we've loaded in that time range so far. So once I can get stuff loaded, I guess I'm going to have something that goes through, we're going to have to add a lineage field. Well, or I could load my things back into lifelogs or something like it and like recalculate it before sending. Because doing it proper means going back like an extra 3 days to find any possible ancestors. Because there were some long lines going when I first tried to work that out. Calculate that, then I cut off where I need to cut off. Yes, there might be some more processing here. Huh, so I guess the way that Bootstrap did their glyphicons doesn't permit localhost. It's file, probably, so it doesn't look like an HTTP request at all. All right, well that's something. And the other thing we could possibly do let's see, where is, let's see, now this currently relies on My Recent Lives, relies on a local installation of dot. So I think I might need to unwind some of that stuff to get this operating in a server context. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to install that on Heroku easily. So there's points, graph as HTML, but that relies on being able to produce the dot. So I could do a proof of but I don't have a search method yet. So yes, I could do a tree. I don't have a good method set up to find a life. I mean, I guess you could do... Yeah, you could do some search terms. So actually, even this should really have search terms that are... back by either ago or most recent 24 hours. Uh-oh, we had another import bug. So let's checkpoint this. I don't know if I'm going to be doing the testing, but sure. See, all right, so where are we failing? Oh. Violates not null constraint. All right, so have we now inserted this? Do I still have that? Okay, it appears no. So I guess if it's unique, you just can't insert nulls. No, actually, no, it wasn't. Oh, wait, is it a not null? Maybe it's actually a not null constraint. Not okay. That's yeah. You just can't insert them. Cool. So we got some data here. It's just this record did not have. Okay, so 2018 May 19th did not have a hash, which is probably some bad data. So we think it's 572797. Oh, yeah, that. So we need to only update. So this is like the server died. We got a death time out of it. So the way I'm doing this now is I'm merging fields, which means my death can come along and overwrite stuff with nils. Well, no, actually this is lifelog merging, which we have a little bit more control over. I mean, really, this should... these deaths are usually going to come along later. If we ever did get out of order, we could, in theory, apply similar things here. In order to stay conservative. There's only a couple things we really care about, but... All right, now in theory, we should be able to fly through all our other files. Didn't even print them. I guess yeah, I took those prints out. And then pick up at our problem spot. Cool. All right, so the other thing, and I might have to redo this a little bit to run it on Heroku, but we could try... yeah, we could actually, because this does produce HTML as it stands. So that's technically a fix over here. Oh, there's a couple of fixes over here. Oops, okay, I committed that out. And we changed path, which might end up affecting something else that changes that loop. That is history.loaddir with a block. Well, it'll just fail sometime. All right, so my other console for you is files G. Actually, the controller didn't really do anything except a file. Is that going to be an index? This is going to require... You would have to specify a server, an epoch, and a player ID. Or do like most recent name. I might just need a name search thing. Because what would we have to specify? Well, what I usually do is a time range and a hash. Although that ends up creating multiple files. Hmm. So to be family of so-and-so, it would probably be a show with all of that information. And then it would be something like... So given a hash, life.where, so as a query parameter, you'd really just want, oh man. Well, if we've done some sort of search, we could resolve it to a server ID. Life.where server ID param server ID. Actually, this could be okay, so parameter sanitization is another thing. Don't remember the exact syntax for. Parameters. This is routing parameters. Oh, is this routing or controllers? Strong parameters. Require a subkey. Permit fields. This might be just permit since it's search params, although in theory you could have, like life, blah, blah, blah. Server ID, epoch, and player ID, which should match up with this. So then we can say life params. This actually should be a... Either we find it or we don't. Does that mean there's a... We find it or we don't? And then... So that's doing a bunch of extra stuff. That's some extra stuff. Oh, this is all built on lifelogs. So I actually have to write the code that goes through and finds everybody in that tree from the database perspective for this to work. Now, history did that before. I might be able to do some similar things. Yeah, so we went back to ancestors and then found family. No, family automatically went back to the ancestor. I guess I'm just keeping an eye on import. Hmm. So I guess one little possible gotcha with this is I'm not doing my import. Well, I know that the files should not be getting updated right now, so that sort of takes care of it. So would this make sense as a life thing? So we have right. So parent right now is a player ID. And was I lazy about that field? Yeah, I was lazy about that field. So for now, it's this. Yeah, I don't know if you can get default Rails relations for multi-key things. There's going to be a whole lot of database queries. Cursor equals self. And cursor dot parent life. Cursor dot parent. So I think I just did null for that. So before it was ancest stores, which gave me the entire thing. This only needs that. So this is, we need that to boot. We use that to bootstrap a set. That was indexed by that key. Hmm. So I might want to do this as a series of steps. We do like children of a particular life, because that we should be able to do as a single step. Although we still have to check that they're not. Hmm. That shouldn't duplicate. Epoch. Can I? So scope is a Rails thing. I've already used the word epoch. No, it does have to be an individual. It's life dot epoch of. Server ID is server ID. Epoch is epoch. So then we can say okay, I can say that for you. We can say this for you. And now rather than player ID, it is parent. So this family, we go to the start. So then we can go down by generation. Let's see, that gives us an initial set. So we have to go through this, get all the children of that, and for each of those, and then like, you need that and you need its set of children. And we needed a helper that just takes a life, which you've got the Eve, and does like immediate family. So then family would be Eve dot immediate family, which would return, well, it would return children. Dot map. Immediate family and unshift self. Where did I? Oh, we actually need to, do something with this. Signed but unused variable. Oop. All right, so we were saying we need to do that. As long as nobody's a child of themselves. And I guess for starters, we can take this and wrap Of course, the way I've done this right now, I need to have a player ID. Let's hope you're interesting. So this is going to be server 1. Oh, but if I need a server ID, and maybe we should Well, it's not just a life params then, but oh, it's not params, it's params dot. That would be require. Require, okay, so permit. Yeah, permit. Oh, but I'm actually going to have to require all of these. All right, so for testing purposes, okay, server 1 is ID 1. All right, and big server 2, I'm probably 17 then. Although what we've got here is a server 1. I forget if you need colon. Okay. Oh, you need a route. Oh, show usually has a key, which is a singular ID. Now, if we have search methods set up, we do in fact have a singular ID. But I'd need to have a search method to find it. Yeah, so that path is not going to match. We're going to just have to do this in index for now. Because it's going to want that by default to be family tree's ID. Ooh, this might not be epoch 0. Couldn't find life. Yeah, oh, I put 17. This is server 1. Undefined method parent life. For active record relation. Oh, this is a... So aware this, find this. Undefined method immediate family for nil. So something did not find here. We called that on our Eve. Oh. Wall cursor. And cursor.parent. Well, maybe it didn't find it. We could actually end up with a dangling pointer here. Oops. Select lives. We got a life. Count hash. Birth, birth, birth. Oh, parent. No parent is apparently recorded as 0. Because I highly doubt parent is actually 0. Is that right? Were you an Eve? No. Uh-oh. Maybe I need to be doing 2i on that? So is this all the data? Well, some are going to be 0. Oh, there's a -1. Okay, we've utterly borked parent. Boy. The other way to look at this is life dot pluck parent and it's well, okay, nil I sort of understand. If it was an Eve or something. Oh boy, so all our data is bunk. So update's going to return that. So what I care about is whether the thing that got written to the database. So I guess we're going to have to do some extra work for a little bit here. Well, no, because we do two-step. Now this is going to be invalid for deaths. if life dot birth time. Well, there's a couple of things here. One is if life has a birth time, well, we need to know if it's a birth, is there a parent at all? Which sometimes there won't be. And then p life dot parent, and then we are never going to update this. And then we have to go into lifelog file dot delete that. We have no longer, well, I mean, I guess if I redo the files correctly, I should start overwriting the parent. But we are still going to have to redo, or actually yeah, we're going to have to redo that. So we want to load one file and quit. Yeah. Where are you? Oh, I still had that over. Oh, I turned that into a key. Do I have the raw parent ID? Birth.parent, birth. Parent equals birth.parent. Oh, I have a parent method on birth. Okay, so it's internal. And then that's what we pass on to the lifelog. So we need to do something like parent ID, parent ID, parent ID. And then lifelog also has to have that because that's what we're using to load stuff. But parent ID, that's usually what we use here. And that will have to get interpreted on insert. If it's a birth, oh, and well, yeah, the birth should have washed that out to a no parent if it is. So where you are importing data, what you are really going to be parent ID. And we are, interesting that we were getting both nils and other stuff in there. So I want to verify that that's writing the right stuff. Then we can turn file caching back on. So we've been using -1 as parent, which should hopefully never match anybody's key. Undefined method parent ID. Oh. Where? Oh, because of printing it. Life.birth time, parent ID. Oh, and then I redid life. Where are you? Family trees, life. Oh, I didn't expose it. I do specifically need this for you to use. Too many windows. Wait. Oh, because it's still load directory. Okay, so that they put that in the wrong place. Okay, so no parent. Otherwise, why did we skip 33? Oh, must have been a death. So it didn't print that one. Deaths would be there. Okay, so we oh, did that any of that right to the database? Yes, some of that wrote into the database. I might want to check for bad values afterwards. Okay, so now we can record if we processed a file before. And maybe print less stuff. Okay, we got birth. Of course, now I don't have my little sample data point. So in order to have a sample data point, I need to have something from the very beginning of Big Server 1. Which, so it did have you did have a child, so if we do ID 3, it should be 16. Couldn't find life based on those params. Are we correctly interpreting the params? All right, one of my tall ones. Server ID, epoch, player ID. Is it because they're strings? Life and server.where. Well, here's what I expect. Big server 1. Life.where. I guess if we're being... Does that work? Okay, that finds something. So that shouldn't matter. Oh, wait. I was doing epoch imports. Nope, I was trying to do it based on that timestamp. How can this be? Epoch 1. Oh, because we saw a life ID 2. So it immediately went to epoch 1. Like server 1 did not have a epoch there. For nil class. Okay, so we're back to this. So, parent -1. Life ID, oh, there's life ID 1. So life, okay, yeah. Parent 2, parent -1. Oh, we're not excluding, I mean, it should just be not found, but that is not a exists. That is a -1. And cursor.parent, well, there's some nils in there too. Well, really, it should be greater than 0. Really, it should be greater than 1, because we know they start at 2. Name error. Undefined? What did we oh, maybe family. What did we return? Cache, life load. Point presenter. And then apparently we had a bunch more people that were birthed from that. Maybe it needed extra to print it. We didn't wrap it till here. All right, I'm getting confused here. Yep. Okay, so this is all, oh, because we did in fact recall family. So we got a bunch of life records. It should have, unless we included a nil in the array. Which I guess if we were chaining down, maybe we could have done. Compact would deal with that, but it bothers me that it's there in the first place. Can catch this. You know what? Just do you. Wait, the second round failed? What? Well, okay. It was failing because it didn't find that thing in its particular record. And that was just a way to get some stuff out. So Life ID 1, Life ID 306, birth X, birth Y. Now that's a life, not a presenter of a life, unless it's also echoing that thing up there. So I need to know what is the inner object of a simple delegator. There's set obj. Does that mean it's get obj? Yeah. What the heck are we running into here? Okay, so that is, oh, that's an array. Oh, so I need to flatten my children coming out of one of these. So that maps your immediate family, which is an array. So might be better to do it all at once at the end, but this just makes it so it's always just an array. Well, actually, yeah, because that's actually all the immediate family returns are going to be arrays. All right, so that suffices just to prove that we got points. All right. Presenter. I was curious is, well, graph wants lives, which it expects to be a hash. So that it can. Oh, it also expects to be able to have keys. Yes, I'm gonna have to do some more adaptation for this. Well, or translate all the set to lifelog entries with all of the fields that we need. This is starting to get a little bit out of hand here. All right, and did I restart import? I did not, or did it break again? Ah, geez. Oh, we finally got to the end of the big server. And we were recording that, so it should pretty much fly through that. Yeah, big server 2. All right, so we'll keep crunching on this stuff, trying to fix all our parent IDs. Hopefully that will get somewhere, and then we'll have to continue working on, well, this is a, can I get it to work? Because it's one of the things I wanted. I guess what well, I'd want to the data before I did a bunch of lineage updates, but that is going to be another thing that we have to work out. In theory, I might be able to do some of that during the import process. Because doing it in bulk is pretty much just going, okay, chain 1, you're yourself, chain 2, you're your parent, everybody else, you're your parent. Which, you know, helps to have parent links. So, alright. I think I've just been going too long right now. I need a break. I don't want to get into trying to either make the objects compatible or translate to lifelog objects right now. So that's it for now. Thanks to, oops, how about this? Everybody who hosted me. What do we got? Looks like Mix over here is working on her game. This is about when I tend to be on, so looks pretty typical. Have to find someplace cool to hang out. Makings of a Hero is working on her RTS MOBA. Otherwise, thanks for hanging out with me. Good night, and until next time. Well, good afternoon for me. Maybe it's good night for you.